everyone, and welcome to the third session of the day. My name is Anthony Higgins, and I'm the Creative Director of Craft and Productivity here at Superside. This topic that we're about to talk about is so important, especially for teams that constantly pump out lots of creative, and that's no matter what size your team. We have some amazing logos being represented in this session. We have Webflow, Coursera, Reddit, and Headspace, and I'm really excited to get into how to build resilience, manage production with less, and being agile, especially in challenging times. So before we do get into it, let me introduce you to the four amazing speakers who have agreed to share their knowledge with us today. First, we have Jess Rosenberg. Jess is Webflow's Director of Brand Design and Creative, where she leads a multidisciplinary team of web designers, visual developers, brand designers, copywriters, and video creatives, working on everything from marketing campaigns and branding to the website itself. Jess has worked with brands such as Wendy's, Volkswagen, Twitter, Cloudflare, and Mural. She loves working on the full spectrum of creative projects, from being on set for the TV commercial to building and scaling brands. Next, please meet Anton Mora. So Anton is Creative Director based in sunny LA with over 15 years of experience in the industry. He's worked with brands like Apple, Honda, Meta, and Toyota, and currently leads the creative development of global marketing and communications at Headspace. He can also be found wandering the streets, camera in hand, capturing the beauty of the world around him, so welcome. We also have Monica Benson. So Monica is the head of brand creative production at Reddit, where she's had the opportunity of building the brand's creative production function as the company scales globally. Monica has previously worked in experiential, integrated marketing, and digital media, both on the agency and client side. She's worked on brands like Warner Brothers, Adobe, Levi's, Sonos, Red Bull, and more. She's also based in sunny LA and works with her brand creative team that spans across the US. And last but definitely not least is Benjamin Pang. So believe it or not, Ben also works in California and is currently an ACD on the branding creative team at Coursera, helping to transform lives through learning. Previously, he helped craft brand stories at ServiceNow, Remax, Energizer, Taco Bell, Papa John's, Volkswagen, and many more, with agencies like BBDO, Camping King, Deutsche LA, EVB, and AKQA. He lives in the Bay Area with his wife, 2 boys, and dog. So welcome to you all. So now, without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, I'd like to start with the broad topic of managing production needs with limited resources. So we know lots of teams have had to get leaner over the time, and production needs never seem to disappear or slow down at all. So my first question would be for Monica, and I'd like to ask, what strategies have you used to prioritize and allocate resources effectively in order to maximize productivity?
Yeah, first of all, super excited to be here with all you guys. Thank you, Anthony, for hosting. And we have such a great panel. But yeah, to answer your question, so I'm on Reddit's in-house creative team called Orange Red. And we field requests from so many teams who need creative at the company, like marketing, comms, finance, product, etc. And we have a super nimble team that works on about 40 to 50 projects at a time. So of course, prioritization and allocation of resources is super important. And so when I receive a creative request, I kind of put a filter on it, and I think of these things like, how important is this request in order to drive Reddit's business forward? How does this compete with current projects in the pipeline? Is there an existing asset that can be leveraged for this request to achieve the same impact? Can we templatize this asset for future use? And can we partner with a studio like Superside to help with creative production once our team establishes the creative direction? And also, is there a simpler way to approach this project that maybe the stakeholder or requester hasn't thought of yet? So once I think through these things, it helps me prioritize the project and think of the approach. And so I team up with our creative managers, and of course, smaller requests obviously should take less time and resources. Larger, more impactful, public-facing projects, of course, deserve more time and resources. So all that, once you think of all that, we have these tools that we also provide the company. We host a lot of our brand assets online, and so employees can just go and pull from them for themselves for their use, and it's already brand approved, of course, so we don't need to worry about that. We also have a Canva hub where our team creates branded templates so employees can go in and leverage those templates and create their own assets. We also know they're brand approved, so we don't need to worry too much. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Superside's been such a great extension of our team. So when it's a big project, our team has already set the creative vision, and maybe they already have some templates. We can pass it over to Superside, and they'll just take it and run with it. And so we could really trust them to do that. So yeah, that's the strategy I use to kind of allocate resources and prioritize projects for our team.
Nice. I love that. Love that answer. And one for Ben, maybe. How would you encourage your team to be creative and innovative in finding ways to work efficiently with limited resources, let's say?
That's a great question, and I believe limited resources have been like the constant theme on almost every single brief we have. But I do believe there's opportunity for creativity innovations. Sometimes it's actually easier to be innovative in a very tight sandbox with creative constraints. Limited resource can mean budgets or channels or sometimes time, and sometimes all three. So what we can do is focusing on how we can stand out from focusing on the ideas. One of the best example and like it's my favorite content creator, Pablo Orchard. All his content are very simple but brilliant ideas. The execution is always simple, very raw, and sometimes you feel like you can just shoot at home and make this yourself. That's the key, but they're always very engaging and like just entertaining. One thing I encourage the team to do is ask questions during the brief, ask what is the goal, how we measure success. Oftentimes it helps us to better understand the business problem, and that's what the stakeholder client want, to have a creative understand the business problem that we try to solve. And sometimes it just helps us uncover the actual brief through the conversation. The final creative might or might not be the social post that the client stakeholder asks for or believe they want, but it could be a creative solution that we figure out that we believe they need.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think communication is a big one, especially with creatives, and digesting that original brief and trying to get as many questions out of them as possible at the start and making sure that they're aligned with the client is really key. And in terms of Webflow, Jess, do you have anything to add to that as well on your side?
Yeah, for sure. We find a lot of creative opportunities in creating efficiencies for folks across our team. So we're technically part of the marketing team. And because we use Webflow, the product on our team, it allows us to create lots of tools to empower our marketers to be more agile and efficient. So one recent project that we did was, and the team totally identified this as a creative opportunity. We're starting to do more events on our demand gen team. And perfect use case for Webflow was, instead of the marketing team putting in a request and my team spinning up, unique landing pages over and over again, we built them a unique system and tool in Webflow, leveraging our CMS, for them to essentially self-serve and build out landing pages that they need for all of their bespoke events in the future. That's one example. We're all about creating efficiencies, building out tools, empowering others at the company to self-serve in like a brand approved way. And I think the team has found a lot of creative opportunities in doing those things.
Perfect. And one for Anton. So when it comes to time and resources, this is always a big one, I find anyway. How do you balance the need for quality and creativity with the constraints of those two?
Yeah, so like you said, it's a big one, and sometimes it is a tricky one because it's very subjective, right? Like the way we want to maybe accomplish some briefs. But I think like we creatives, we always try to make sure that everything we do is it's always polished and perfect. But it is also very important to understand the different needs of each brief, and identify where we need our team to put their energy on, and that way we can help them, our team, to see that as well, right? And setting like clear expectations for it. So also like setting those clear expectations are usually very helpful to alleviate that pressure from our teams, just knowing the clear goals of the briefs. So to me, analyzing the brief from the get-go and setting those clear, like a clear direction and expectations for the team, it usually helps us to find the balance, and not always trying to get them to just like reach the stars, like just making sure that we know where we want them to really spend the time, when we need to be effective, and when we need to do like the correct work that just accomplishes the brief, and just being, I guess, like working wisely, not only hard, right?
For sure, for sure. And would you find, in terms of prioritization, there would be times where you decide, the ones that are going to move the dial the most, you'd focus on, and you'd maybe push some of the projects back or into the next month or so on?
I mean, moving deadlines is usually, if that's what you are referring to, I mean, it's always smart to see what's needed to be launched sooner or later, right? Like usually not everything has the same like the same need for launch, like or urgency. So I think like also like partnering with our constructional partners to make clear decisions on that is key. Like communication and collaboration, it's always the best to accomplish that.
Nice. Okay. And Jess, moving back to you, how do you leverage technology to streamline production processes and optimize resource utilization? So you mentioned CMS and a few tools.
Yeah, there's
Is there any
definitely
other ways
there's
that you
definitely
would-
Webflow, but I'll stop shape plugging Webflow and I'll talk about a few other tools we use. We're big fans of both Asana and Slack, and we use both as part of our process to determine resource allocation, capacity. In Slack, we have a channel that basically intakes like smaller projects, like task-based asks for our team. We've built a workflow in Slack that essentially triggers a form. Our partners can go in there and put what they need from our team, when it's due, and then our project managers go in and triage. And the cool thing with the Slack workflow is you can, our PMs react using React Gs. Certain React Gs will trigger a response, an auto response saying like, your ticket's being reviewed, we'll get back to you at a certain time. They'll respond with an emoji that signals this is for the web team, this is for the copywriting team. And so those types of workflows signal the appropriate people to take a look at the requests. And then for bigger projects, we use Asana, and our team is very organized and diligent about keeping our Asana spaces like very organized, very detailed. We do everything in Asana, from building out our entire team's portfolio of projects for each quarter. And we do this in close collaboration with our marketing partners. We've gotten to a point where we've worked closely with the marketing team each quarter to plan out the bigger projects that my team is working on. So like for the tier 1 projects each quarter, there really should be no surprises when those finally kick off, as we're predetermining those with our partners. And those are the projects that get planned out in fine detail in Asana. The other way our PMs use Asana is for capacity tracking and management. And this essentially determines every single person on the team working on week over week and how many hours are allocated to those projects, mostly to ensure that these folks aren't burnt out, they're not taking on too much work week over week. We care a lot about work-life balance at Webflow and on my team, and preserving that as much as possible. So the capacity planning has been really key in helping there.
Perfect. And that ties us perfect into our next area, where you talk about burnout and how do you build resilience and try to avoid burnout where possible. So I'll start with Ben. How do you encourage and support your team in maintaining their own resiliency and avoiding burnout?
I think it's like Jess said, like we also we take burnout like very seriously. Like we try to keep the. It's very important to take care of yourself first. It's most important that you enjoy what you're doing. So to avoid burnout, we encourage the team to step away from desk and just do what they like to do, like reading, cooking, eating, and taking their minds away from work and just open to experiencing life. And but we've also like two project management to help us keep track of, is there like a too much workflow towards certain parts or certain people, to make sure the flow are balanced and the work and life balance is very important as well. Personally, I love cooking. That's something I love to do, especially smoking meat. As to therapeutic, it's something totally different from what we do every single day. Looking at computers, very hands-on, and that led me to working with one of the best pitmaster in the US. So that's like example. I would like to get a team to go and do something they like to do outside work, and they usually helps out with the burnout.
Nice. And over to you, Anton. So how do you balance that need for the productivity and the efficiency with the need for rest and recovery at the same time?
So, I mean, I guess like having limited resources is always, I think it's always one of the challenges we experience. And in my experience, like, it's simply like by being there for them. Like, and what I mean with that is being empathetic, like showing them that we are also there to help our team to solve these challenges that they face, and sometimes like getting our hands dirty as well. And I mean, leading by example in that way. We do have I would say like a good sized team at Headspace, but coming from agencies where I feel like sometimes are able to pull more resources, like we actually are pretty scrappy and we can like help our team to accomplish these challenges. And because we are there to guide them and help them to find these solutions, I feel like chances are that we face those same challenges through our career. So to put it simply, we try to be there. It's one more of the team and make sure they feel supported and guided by us.
Yeah, totally agree. And Jess, would you being a leader in the creative industry yourself, how do you prioritize self-care and mental health?
Very good question. Something that I'm still working on, admittedly. For me, it's a few different things. I try and prioritize exercise as much as I can, bake it into my schedule, even put it on my calendar. So it's something that I know I need to do every day. If I'm not working out regularly, I really notice like a shift in my mental health. So that's really important for me. Another is just taking time off and not waiting until I'm like super burnt out to do it. And that could be as small as like identifying mental health days like far in advance. So what I like to do, and I suggest this to my team too, is like identify a day like months from now or a couple days and put it on the calendar, request time off. You might not need it, but it'll also be a nice like opportunity to take a break. So I try and do that for myself. And then something that's really helped me throughout my career too is forming like a circle of confidants and like mentors and just like people in my corner that I can go to and vent to and get advice from and just connect with. And not only has that really helped me professionally and as a leader, but it's really helped from a mental health perspective too, just knowing I'm not alone and experiencing a lot of the tribulations of leadership at high growth companies. And yeah, I also just can't stress the importance of taking time off. Like I just took the past week off and I feel like a whole different person, honestly. So highly recommend. Don't forget to do it.
I can relate to that so much because this is my first role as working remote, and when I first started, it was like I have to exercise. I have to set myself a routine where I do 10,000 steps a day, and try and get out the house and so on. And there's been times where I fell into a bit of a dip and being sat at the screen, and I've had to pull myself away from it and start again. But it's always one that you have to reflect on every week and every month to make sure that you definitely are taking that time away from yourself.
I have a foldable treadmill in my office too. So sometimes my team like laughs at me because in meetings they'll see like my head bobbing up and down. But little things like that I think help a lot too.
That's
I'll have
awesome.
to, I'll have
Jess.
to look
I
for
want
one.
to. I want to do a treadmill too. I'm
I'll send you all
inspired.
the link.
Or you get a dog and then make you have to walk out every like couple hours.
That is
Yeah.
true.
That is a good one, actually. I think I might have to take that one up. Cool. And moving into the last core topic that we have. So if we shift over to something a little bit more tactical, and we chat about frameworks for smooth production, I'd like to start with you, Monica. So how do you incorporate feedback and iteration into that production process? And are there any specific stages or checkpoints where you think it's particularly important?
Yeah. So when we get a request, I make sure my producers, I feel like timelines are just so important at the beginning of a project. So everyone who's involved, including the stakeholder, knows what to expect when. And so when these timelines are set, we can set those check-ins for feedback. And I think major milestones within a project where it's important to check in with the team and the stakeholder are when the concept is formed. So just do the ideation internally as a creative team. Then you present your concept, get alignment before any production work is done, just so you don't have to go back and change things later. So concept, and then we try to incorporate at least 2 rounds of creative review once we do start the production. So as we're moving down the workflow, we're getting that buy-in from everybody involved to avoid that back and forth and having to tweak things along the way. So yeah, that's how we incorporate feedback.
And in terms of, to add to that, in terms of like, senior stakeholder management and trying to collate feedback in general, have you found a good way to do that? So in my experience, there's been times where you normally start at the bottom of the funnel and then it goes up higher in the chain and then there's more iterations and so on. Is there a way that you've managed to find getting them all in one room, for example, or collating that feedback as one piece?
Yeah, definitely. Great follow-up question. When we do get a request and we're assessing the brief, it is always good to ask the requester, like, who are the main stakeholders and approvers of this project, so you know ahead of time. And I like to work with that stakeholder to determine when in our process will it make sense to show them. Maybe they might not know, so I would usually advise maybe creative round 1, depending on what the project is and who the approver is, of course. But knowing who the approvers is from the beginning and keeping them involved in the process is also a way to avoid that back and forth and having to change things. So yeah, good call out.
Great. And a quick follow-up, one more for you, Monica, on that. How does Superside enable your team to be more productive?
Yeah, so I mentioned it earlier, but Superside has been so great as an extension of our team. Our team, we own the brand at Reddit. We have to build it and maintain it. And so Superside allows us to focus on that. So when we do have like large production asks, we can set the vision and then just partner with our amazing team at Superside to get it all done. We probably have like, here's one video storyboard, but we need to highlight multiple communities. So here's the framework. We'll send it to them, give them all the content, and then they can go ahead and create the 10 different videos while we review. So it's been so awesome. Our team loves who we work with, and we really trust our partners there.
Cool, perfect. And Anton, in terms of project management frameworks, do you use those for creative projects? And can you explain how it works and why you find it effective?
So it actually, it helps me setting a process with clear phases and goals, and that allows the team to focus their energy on each phase of the creative process and be more, as effective as possible on each of them. And when timelines are tight, and I find it very useful to kind of like divide that timeline in 3 phases. And this, I guess, is just a personal trick that I do myself. But to me, that first phase is obviously the ideation concepting phase. And that's the time for the team to kind of like find inspiration, explore, brainstorm, share ideas, big and small, like anything can spark a good idea. And after that first phase, like once we've identified the concept or idea that we want to move forward with, then that second phase would be just developing and proving that concept, making sure that that concept we are working with is bulletproof and that we respond to the brief. Like if we try to be very specific about those phases and make sure that the team, because it's very easy for creatives, we just go up and down and sometimes we get lost in our own process, but making sure that we stay focused on each of them. And once that concept is approved by all the stakeholders and everyone is sold on it, the third phase is, to me, when we start crafting and financing those executions. Then is when we really get into production and deliverables. Like to me, identifying those three phases of the creative process and helping everyone to focus on each of them is what really helps us keep moving forward.
Excellent answer. I really like those phrases. We do have lots of questions from the audience, so I'll open this up to the floor, really, whoever. We only have 1 minute left. So one question from Rachel, she asked, when democratizing creative to the rest of the company using tools like Canva or CMS, how do you help ensure high quality output? So avoiding cannibalizing assets, breaking templates, and using brand assets outside of their intended context.
I can jump in on this one real quick because our team deals with it almost every day. Ever since we launched our Canva hub, we have such great templates in there and we're continuing to create more. But through the process, we want to make sure the templates are being used correctly. So first of all, it's so great to have a tool like Canva so we can create those brand approved assets and increase productivity. So we already know, like, once we put it in the hub, the layout and the design is already locked. Like you can lock specific elements. And then depending on what the asset is, we'll ask that stakeholder to run it by our team to approve before it goes live. But setting the foundation from the get-go is so key to lock those brand elements that you want to maintain. So then you don't have to change things later down the road.
I'll plus one that, especially the upfront part. For us, we spent a lot of time training our partners, especially with the CMS and landing page example. The teams did such an incredible job on education. They put a whole deck together that was so detail oriented. So like decks, Loom recordings, like live trainings, getting our marketers into Webflow, trying to break it, seeing what worked and what didn't with the team was really powerful. And I think really helped set folks up for success on the long term. And then on an ongoing basis, when marketers are using the CMS and Webflow and they're ready, to hit publish, before they do, we have a process where our team reviews it just for like a once over to make sure everything looks good. And then they can go ahead and hit publish. And for the most part, things do look good because I think the team did a really good job at setting those constraints and parameters within the product.
Perfect. I think that's exactly it. I think setting the brand or the company up for success at the start, whether that be through Figma, Canva, Photoshop artboards, when you got those brand assets locked down, and then you're just making those small tweaks through imagery or text edits, then the output then is the quick part. So I think that's really key and something I've found as well, and it's something we try to do at Superside. We try and set it up for success at the start, although it does take that little bit longer to get that locked down and signed off. But once it is, it feels like then everything flows on from then in a much quicker, productive way. Melanie's asked, this is kind of similar, but what systems are people leveraging to help stakeholders be more self-sufficient working with branding assets and templates? So it's a similar question, but I guess Melanie's trying to ask, is there any systems that you're using for stakeholders to be able to self-serve?
Go ahead, Anton.
Sorry, now I was just going to say, like, there is actually something that we've been exploring lately that is, creating, like, honestly, like a toolkit, like that, it can be very useful to, like, there are obviously like big campaigns and big efforts that need, like, their unique creative for it. but we've realized that there are so many like small partnerships and small pushes that we need to do for the brand. Still, we need to do them, but they maybe don't require the attention or like the effort of our team, just like building it from scratch, and sometimes can be reused. So building a very broad toolkit like of assets and almost like coming from the brand guideline, let's say, using also the right voice and tone, like you can really give great direction for external partners and even other stakeholders to just like use these assets and sometimes like they can create their own like mini campaigns, if we want to call them that way. And so that's something that we actually have explored, like we are exploring currently, and we hope it's going to work.
I think that was a great question from Melanie. I think considering how fast the world moves at the moment and things that happen on Twitter pretty much instantly with news and lots of brands being as reactive as possible, it's a busy world out there, and having those toolkits to be able to allow brands to react at speed is really, really key.
I want to quickly add, because I saw a question from the audience kind of tying to this, what system we use to host all our brand assets. We use Lingo. So that's where we have our toolkit, our brand guidelines, how to use our photography, things like that. So setting strong brand foundation and assets in the guidelines there is so key.
I'll have to look at that one. I've not heard the Lingo before.
We use Webflow, but I'm sure many could have guessed that already.
Cool. Well, that's all we have time for. What a session that's been. It's gone so quick, and there's some really, really insightful information that we've gained out of that. So I hope it's been useful for everybody. And thanks so much to you, Anton, Jess, Monica, and Ben for your time.
Hey, I hope that session sparked some ideas and provided some excellent insight. If it did, join the Superside community. We've got plenty more videos and events to enjoy. Otherwise, visit superside.com to book a quick demo and find out more about what we do. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.